Of all the meals in the world, I think I love brunch the best. There are just so many possibilities for the food. You can make breakfast food, lunch food, and it's early in the day. When I'm hosting a brunch, I like foods that I can make ahead of time, and then I don't have a mad rush in the morning. I'm gonna show you how to make some of my new favorite brunch things, starting with a French onion frittata. Wow, is this packed with flavor. Wow, is this easy to make, and wow, it's delicious. I've been cooking 3 sliced white onions in a mixture of oil and butter, and I added a little garlic and fresh thyme. And it took about 15 minutes to get them to this deep, deep golden color, and gosh, are these delicious. I'm gonna add a little more flavor to the mix with some balsamic vinegar, just a little bit, some Worcestershire, just a little bit. And I like to add fresh cracked pepper to the onions. Okie doke. These look fantastic. So I have a little plate and they are ready to come out. I'm gonna grab my trusty spatula. It'll work a little bit better. Look at these onions. I mean, you could use these onions in a panini. You could add them to a simple soup to make it taste like you've been cooking it for hours. You could eat this with a fork. I could go on and on. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little butter to the skillet. And this frittata has potatoes. So I have very thinly sliced red potatoes, and those will go in. And I'll turn up the heat. Now I'll just stir the potatoes around for about 3 minutes so they can start to cook. Okay, the potatoes are starting to brown and they're also starting to soften. So now I turn the heat to low. And I'm gonna add the cheese because I think all frittatas should have plenty of cheese. And this is Gruyère, which is probably my favorite cheese for anything from omelets to frittatas. I'm gonna hang on to this for something else I'll tell you about in a minute. Now come the onions, and I'll just sprinkle these deep, dark, delicious caramelized onions all over the cheese. I have eaten caramelized onions with Gruyère cheese so much in my life, and really it's a play on French onion soup, and that's why I'm using this combination. Okie doke, we're off to a delicious start with this brunch food. Now I have some beaten eggs in a pitcher, and I'll season it real quick with plenty of salt and pepper, and give it a stir. And yes, the eggs go over this entire delicious scene in here. I'll start by pouring the eggs around the edge just to make sure they make a little bit of a shell, and then I'll fill it in. But you just want to make sure the eggs are poured evenly over all of this absolute heaven. Finally, a sprinkling of fresh chives, which makes the frittata so delicious and so flavorful. Now, if you want this to be a make-ahead frittata, you can stop at this stage, cover the pan with foil, and keep it in the fridge overnight, and then just bake it fresh the next morning. So now it's over to the oven for the frittata, and while it's in there, I'm gonna make some cheesy toast to go with it. So to bake the frittata, I'll put it in a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. Meantime, I'll drizzle 8 slices of bread with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, sprinkle over 1.5 cups of grated Gruyère, and put them in with the frittata to cook for 10 minutes. Then I'll remove the frittata and let it sit for 5 minutes so everything's ready at the same time. The frittata has been resting, and this cheesy toast is very cheesy, and it is done. And I want to show you my favorite way to serve this brunchy meal. Look at this frittata. What's magical about it is that it has a little bit of crispiness on the outer edges, partly from the cheese, but inside it's nice and soft and gooey. And it's always good to let the frittata rest before you serve it because It just kind of settles in and stays together, first of all. If you try to slice it and serve it too soon, it might kind of fall apart on you. Now for this cheesy toast, slice it diagonally in half and put a couple pieces on there. And then I have some fresh sliced tomato, which is brunchy, lunchy, dinnery. It goes with everything. Definitely goes with eggs. And then a little sprinkle of extra chives. You can put the chives everywhere. Makes the plate pretty. Oh my goodness. French onion frittata, cheesy toast. This is my kind of brunch. It's gonna be hard for me to top this one, but I am sure gonna try. Holy frittata.